So recently, the Straits Times came out with an article talking about how a 71-year-old retiree named Janet top up her CPF yearly to receive a massive $4,600 monthly payout. When I first saw this headline, my immediate thought was, wow, sure or not got so much? But wait, it actually gets even crazier than that. If you read the article itself, it mentions that if you combine her CPF Life payouts with the interest from her ordinary accounts and Medisave accounts, she would be receiving an annual retirement income of about $85,000. That works out to roughly $7,000 a month. That is an absolutely insane amount of risk-free income. According to OCBC, with that kind of money, you could more than afford a CB atas lifestyle, where you own and live in a private property, drive a high-end car, only visit GPs and private hospitals, able to hire a full-time helper, take international holidays twice a year, and enjoy regular wellness experiences. But the real question is this: is locking up hundreds of thousands of dollars in your CPF worth it to chase these massive money payouts? Or are you much better off keeping your cash and investing the difference yourself? Let us not waste any time and dive straight into the data to find out. Okay, first things first, let's figure out how Janet even managed to reach that legendary $7,000 payout. To do this, I built a web app because, you know, I'm something of a web coder myself. If you only had the full retirement sum and just started your payouts at age 65, you receive around $1,750 every month. So we are quite far off from the atas lifestyle. To push that number up, you can shift the payout start age from 65 to 70. Because for each year that you defer, your payouts will increase by up to 7%. So just by deferring for 5 years, our payouts has gone from $1,750 to roughly $2,370. But let's not stop there. Instead of settling just for the FRS, you can also top up your accounts to the Enhanced Retirement Sum, or ERS. By doing so, you will boost your monthly payouts by almost double, reaching around $4,550. And this is where Janet's main CPF Life income comes in. But wait, that's not all. The article mentions that she is earning an annual interest income of at least $30,000 from her ordinary accounts and Medisave accounts. So if you take that amount and divide it by 2.5% base interest rate, that means she has about $1.2 million sitting in her OA and MA combined. And if you add up everything together, ding! This is how she got $7,000 in passive income every month. Ho say po. Quick pause. If you are looking for the best brokers to kickstart your investing journey, check out Interactive Brokers. You will enjoy one of the lowest fees in the industry at just 35 cents per trade on the US stock market. It also offers Ireland domicile ETFs, perfect for saving on dividend withholding taxes. Plus, it also comes with free company research tools, so you can make smarter investing decisions. Feel free to use my Interactive Brokers link to open an account and start investing today. Alright, let's get back to the video. But before you go and dump your entire life savings into your retirement account, you need to understand that this $7,000 money printer has some drawbacks. The first major drawback is inflation. While $7,000 passive income sounds like a lot of money today, you have to remember that these payouts are nominal amounts, meaning they have not accounted for inflation yet. If we assume an average inflation rate of 2% over the next 20 years, that $7,000 today will only feel like $4,744 in purchasing power by the time you hit 90. Now, to be fair, that is still a lot of money. But for the average CPF member who starts their payouts at 65, only has the FRS, and doesn't have $1 million sitting in their OA and MA, their purchasing power will shrink closer to $1,000 by the time they are 90. Now, of course, you can sort of fix this by choosing the escalating plan instead. Because the payouts increase by 2% every year, it effectively cancels out the effects of inflation, thus allowing you to maintain your purchasing power for as long as you live. However, the escalating plan isn't perfect either. To get the yearly increase, you'll be starting at a much lower base. Instead of starting at $1,750 a month on the standard plan, you start at just $1,380. Then it is only at around age 77 that the escalating plan finally overtakes the standard plan in terms of monthly income. This means while you are younger and have the strength and energy to actually enjoy your life, you have less money to spend. It is only when you are much older that you finally have more to use. I don't know about you, but I would rather have the extra cash while my knees are still working and I can actually travel the world. The second drawback is that CPF Life is a one-way street. Once you top up to the ERS, that money is locked away forever. It is non-reversible. If you suddenly need $100,000 for a private medical procedure or your house needs major repairs, you cannot just call CPF and say, hey, give me back my money. It doesn't work like that, yeah? Because you are essentially trading your liquidity for a guaranteed paycheck. Now, the third drawback is policy risk. So, as much as the Straits Times article claims that CPF has no hidden cost or risk because the payouts are guaranteed by the government, the rules can and do change. Future governments dealing with an aging population could possibly tweak the withdrawal ages, adjust interest rates, or change how the CPF Life annuity pool is managed. In fact, CPF itself has stated that to keep the system sustainable, payouts can be adjusted if Singaporeans start living significantly longer or if the interest rate environment shifts. Though personally, I believe that this risk is relatively small. That's because CPF is a so-called sacred cow policy in Singapore, and any negative changes would trigger a massive backlash. So the government is unlikely to touch it unless they have absolutely no choice. Last but not least is what some people like to call the "what if I die early" risk. To actually win and fully utilize every cent of your CPF savings, you must outlive the break-even age. If you pass away too early, or too bad, the interest that you earn stays in the CPF Life pool to fund others, and only your remaining principal is distributed to your loved ones. Here, you can see that for the standard and escalating plans, you would have to live until at least age 81 or 82 just to break even. If you don't make it to that age, then you have essentially subsidized the long life winners who have managed to outlive you. Though personally, I don't even think that this is a risk per se, because let's be honest, once you pass away, you won't really care about your ROI or whether you want the CPF game anymore. You are already gone, so what's there to be sian about? But I guess that's just me. But anyway, what if instead of putting so much money into CPF, you stop at the full retirement sum and instead takes the extra $220,400, aka the difference between FRS and ERS to invest yourself? Let's find out. If you had top up that extra money from FRS to ERS and chosen to start your payout at age 65, you will receive an additional $1,660 a month from CPF Life. However, if you had chosen to invest that same $220,400 into a portfolio that gives an average return of 5% a year with a 4% withdrawal rate, you will get a slightly lower monthly payout of $1,197. While the investment strategy might seem like a worse off deal at first glance, keep in mind that I'm using a very conservative return here. Over the past 100 years, even a global portfolio of 100 bonds would have given a 5% average return. But if you just add a bit more of equity into the mix, say 20% equity and 80% bond split, the return can be significantly increased. But besides the potential for higher returns, the other biggest advantage of the investment strategy is the bequest amount. Because you are only drawing down 4%, while the market hopefully grows by 5% or more, you will actually end up with a much higher bequest amount. In fact, unlike CPF Life where the premium eventually drops to zero, your investment portfolio can actually grow over time. This means that even after you pass away, your money can remain as a lasting legacy that can be passed down to your loved ones. But of course, it goes without saying that investing has its own set of problems too. The first one is of course that returns are absolutely not guaranteed and can often be volatile. While we often like to say that the S&P 500 returns 10% a year or a 100% bond portfolio returned 5% a year in the past, keep in mind that all these data are just historical data. Who knows what the future holds? The market doesn't care about our investment plans, and a lost decade could happen right when you need the money the most. Touch wood. The second drawback is the sequence of return risk. This is the ultimate portfolio killer, where if a massive global market crash happens in the first 2 or 3 years of your retirement, drawing down 4% of a collapsing portfolio can potentially cripple it forever. In that scenario, you'll be forced to sell shares at rock bottom prices just to pay for your living expenses. This means your portfolio loses its engine and cannot recover even when the market eventually bounces back. If that happens, you could easily run out of money much faster than expected. And finally, drawback number 3 is cognitive decline. As we age, our mental capacity may deteriorate due to dementia or other age-related illnesses. This makes us highly vulnerable to sophisticated scammers who can wipe out a lifelong stock portfolio with just one bad click on a phishing link. Furthermore, during retirement, many of us simply do not want to bother with the stress of monitoring stock charts, rebalancing portfolios, and tracking global inflation data. Instead, we want to enjoy our golden years and not worry about market volatility. Meanwhile, with CPF Life, you get a set and forget system. You cannot be scammed out of your core retirement income simply because the money is safely locked up and the payouts come in automatically every single month without you lifting a finger. So after looking at all the data and the drawbacks on both lines, who is the enhanced retirement sum really for? Some savvy investors might find it better to stop at the full retirement sum and invest the rest of the money. This covers your basic chai fund survival floor, while you keep the rest of your liquidity to invest in the market to beat inflation. However, for the conservative or longevity believers, maxing out the ERS is actually not that bad either. It provides a lifelong paycheck that ensures that you will never run out of money for as long as you live. Here, perhaps the best inheritance that you can leave your kids is the guarantee that you will never have to ask them for a single cent while you enjoy a scam-proof and hands-off safety net. But for the rest of you who are lucky enough to have a surplus of investment funds, aka the big whales, you can actually get the best of both worlds. You can choose to top up the ERS to secure a massive risk-free floor of guaranteed income, while still keeping a heavy amount of capital in the stock market for that high growth upside. By doing this, you aren't just choosing one over the other. You are using the ERS as the ultimate safe bond component of your wealth. This allows you to be even more aggressive with your other investments because you know that your basic lifestyle is already fully funded for life. Just like our Janet here. At the end of the day, CPF is just a tool. It's not about whether ERS is better than investing or not. Instead, it's about how you layer them together to build the best retirement nest egg that lets you sleep well at night. Anyway, that's all for this video. Hope you found it useful. Like, share and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every week.